Good afternoon, and welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program.
The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news, and Dolores County Broadcasting Network provides the support for DCTV.
The News at Noon program assembles the best and most interesting news from the area, offers intriguing content for its viewers, and provides local weather for the Four Corners region. What do you think? Give us a call with news tips or topics you'd like to see covered. The number is 677-4119.
We appreciate you watching. I'm Kendra Cook, and my co-hosts are Kelsey Keesling and Jerry Tope with the weather. Today is Monday, August 9th, 2016. National Book Lovers Day, Rice Pudding Day, and Veep Day. That's still Joe Biden. Now, here's what's in the news. Reported in the Gazette by Billy Stanton and Lou, the tweets apparently tell the tale. Colorado is one of the most welcoming states towards refugees, says a new 18-month study by the International Rescue Committee and Adobo, an apartment finding firm. The state ranks 8th for having the most positive tweets regarding refugees, the study says. That ranking comes despite anti-refugee resolutions enacted in El Paso County and proposed in Colorado Springs. Commissioners unanimously passed a resolution in December declaring opposition to refugees moving into the county unless the federal government ensures that they pose no threat. The resolution quietly faded from the council's business and never was enacted. The study analyzed tweets with related hashtags such as hashtag open borders and hashtag refugees welcome since January of 2015. Such tweets have accelerated since the Syrian refugee crisis started in March 2011. The groups found between August and September 2015, the tweets spiked by 471%, the study says. The 10 states with the most positive tweets were ranked as Washington, Maine, Utah, Kansas, New Hampshire, West Virginia, Idaho, Colorado, Oregon, and South Carolina. At the bottom of that spectrum were Mississippi, Arkansas, Wyoming, New Mexico, Alaska, Ohio, Delaware, Iowa, North Carolina, and Wisconsin. Over time, positive sentiments increased dramatically in September of 2015 and has spiked a couple of times since, reports the International Rescue Committee, which was created with the help from Albert Einstein more than 80 years ago. All in all, many Americans remember why this country was founded in the first place and are extending this virtue to those who currently need it the most. That holds true in Colorado Springs, said Laura Libby of Lutheran Family Services. The response from our community, she says, wanting to help and volunteer and donate, has been greater than before. I think it's because the media have brought attention to refugees being here, and it's pulled on the heartstrings of our community. Statewide, 2,287 refugees, asylees, and secondaries, those moving in from another state, were resettled last year, reports the State Division of Refugee Services. Many secondaries moved to Greeley from out of state to work in meat packing plants there. The State Division reports in Colorado over recent years, most refugees came from Burma, Iraq, Bhutan, and Somalia.
According to the Cortez Journal, options to pump Animas River water to Red Mesa for irrigation were recently floated to the Southwestern Water Conservation District, though none of the projects have funding. The proposals would pump water uphill from the Lake Nighthorse intake to Red Mesa Reservoir east of the La Plata River and about 4 miles north of the New Mexico border. Under the 1922 La Plata River Compact, the state is required to send half of the La Plata River's flow from Hesperus when it is discharging at 100 cubic feet per second or less to New Mexico. But hot summers, peak irrigation season, and subsequent low flows can prevent Colorado from fulfilling this obligation. The Bobby K. Taylor Reservoir, just south of Red Mesa, was designed to allow Colorado water users to divert water that would otherwise flow to New Mexico. Harris's designs would offer another means of getting water to La Plata County's Dryside. But some circles protest the idea of pumping water uphill, calling it a backdoor route to fulfilling the full scope of the Animas La Plata project. The Animas La Plata project received congressional authorization in 1968 to supply water from the Animas and La Plata rivers to the southern Ute and Ute Mountain Ute tribes, Navajo farmers, and Dryside farmers. But in 2000, Congress approved a significantly downsized version of the project, which removed the irrigation component so that the project's water could satisfy only municipal and industrial uses. The same argument was made over the construction of Long Hollow or Taylor Reservoir, which drew the ire of a group opposed to the Animas La Plata project called the Citizens Progressive Alliance. It took issue with the fact that Taylor Reservoir was built with $15 million out of a $30 million state fund initially set aside in the mid-1980s to pay for a portion of the Animas La Plata project, before it was decided that federal taxpayers would foot the bill. Bruce Whitehead, executive director of the Southwestern Water Conservation District, said he disagreed with the perception that the original Animas La Plata project design is being piecemealed via smaller scale projects.
From the Durango Herald, with Election Day 3 months away, committees focused on 2 major ballot issues are drumming up funds, according to the most recent campaign finance reports. The reports also show incumbent La Plata County Commissioners' campaign chests are fuller than those of their challengers. La Plata County officials are again pitching a mill levy increase for the county road and bridge maintenance, which didn't win over voters last year at the polls, as well as a mill levy increase for the Durango-La Plata County Airport. This year, 2 separate organized efforts are underway to educate and advocate for the issues. Yes for DRO supports a property tax hike to raise $40 million for a terminal expansion and other improvements for the airport. The committee raised $2,500 in the most recent campaign finance filing period, covering donations from June 20th to July 23rd, and spent $760. Glacier Management Associates and the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad are among the contributors to the committee, which registered with the state in May. Yes for Roads and Bridges received $3,850 in contributions and spent $555 for a booth at the La Plata County Fair and signs to promote the ballot measure. This committee also was registered in May. Commissioners Gwen Leschelt and Julie Westendorf both contributed to the campaign, as did the railroad and HDS Freight Services, a Bayfield-based freight shipping company. Thus far, expenses have been limited to yard signs, a website and logo, but the Citizens Committee plans additional outreach via handouts and radio advertising in the fall, Committee Chairman Pat Cummins said. Finance reports show that railroad owner Al Harper has contributed to multiple county causes and campaigns. In addition to backing the airport and roads and bridges initiatives, he financially endorsed both incumbent commissioner candidates and their challengers. All financial disclosures for candidates and committees are searchable online at colorado.gov.
According to the Durango Herald, a toilet at the Andrews Lake recreational area in the San Juan National Forest is closed after recently trapping 2 unsuspecting individuals inside, officials announced Monday. Janowiak said the district received a call last week that a hiker had been locked inside the bathroom and couldn't get out. Fortunately, in that instance, the individual was liberated by a passerby. A subsequent investigation of the latch found it was working, but it was a little sticky, Janowiak said. But over the week, it got progressively worse. Another report filtered in Monday that someone else was stuck in the stall. This time, the person who extracted the captive had to pull really hard on the door handle. And it was good luck too, Janowiak said. Though there are vents in the stall, they are high up and a person would have to climb a cinder block wall. Janowiak said replacement parts should arrive within the next day or 2, and by the end of the week, the toilet door should be fully operational. The public is encouraged to use the open stall on the other side of the facility.
From the Crow Canyon Archaeological Center, they recently announced that as Crow Canyon archaeologists begin to plan next year's excavation at the Haney site, they're getting help from an eye in the sky, a drone that takes extremely high-resolution images. Crow Canyon contracted with a drone operator to fly over the 5-acre Haney site north of Cortez, where the Northern Chaco Outliers project will kick off next spring. Hundreds of drone photographs will supplement more than 3,000 ground-based images, which will be stitched with high-tech software that matches pixels on separate photos and accurately merges them to create larger images. The result is an extremely precise 3-dimensional model of the site that can be viewed from multiple directions. For example, it can map the height of standing masonry to a resolution of 2 centimeters. Drone-borne infrared photography can also highlight subtle features that the human eye, unaided, might not notice. It provides a highly accurate foundation to start looking at special relationships of features and provides a great record of existing architecture, said Grant Coffey, GIS archaeologist at Crow Canyon. As well as providing a working model for when archaeologists begin excavating at Haney, the images also will comprise a visual archive of the site's current condition as excavations unfold during the 4 years of the project. Ultimately, it will also serve as a preservation tool, helping archaeologists determine how much material will be needed to backfill currently open structures for future preservation. It's a tool for planning and preservation and an archive, Coffey said. The technology is is not brand new, but both the software and hardware involved have become more refined in recent years and thus more available to archaeologists. The photography took place during the week of July 11th, and the high-resolution images are now being processed. Analyzing them will occupy much of the winter, and then they'll be available for future references as excavation progresses. The Haney site is part of a Pueblo II era, AD 950 to 1150, village that includes two Chacoan great houses. The ancestral Pueblo inhabitants of the Haney site were part of the larger Lakeview group, which includes the two great houses at Haney and two others located nearby on private land. This makes the Lakeview group one of the densest concentrations of great houses found north of Aztec Ruins National Monument. Full-time excavation will begin during the 2017 field season, and the project will continue through 2020. In addition to Crow Canyon's professional archaeologists, participants in Crow Canyon's adult excavation programs and educational programs, including school groups, teen camps, and college field school, will excavate at the Haney site. The public will not be allowed to visit the site without being part of a Crow Canyon program. For more information, go online to crowcanyon.org.
According to the Durango Herald, neighbors of the future Liberty School on Western Avenue raised concerns Monday that the school's planned gym would change their scenic views. They argued the school's special use permit requires all of its buildings be single-story structures, and a 29-foot multi-purpose gym does fit that description. This feels like a giant bait and switch, said Gunnar Conrad, who attends meetings on behalf of his mother. The school plans to break ground on the building in mid-September and finish it in 1 year if about $3.5 million can be raised within that time frame, said Christian Holman, head of Liberty School. After hearing from the neighbors, he agreed to see if the height of the gym could be a few feet shorter. Gym staff members see the gym is acceptable within the single-story requirement and consistent with activities at a school, City Planner Craig Rosser told the small gathering. The private school serves dyslexic and gifted students, and it holds classes above Big Picture High School on 12th Street. It has held classes in church basements and in airplane hangar. The single-story provision is among the 16 conditions the school agreed to abide by after talks with the neighbors. As part of the agreement, the facility is limited to 10,000 square feet, and its enrollment must be capped at 49 students. The height restriction was important to neighbors because most neighborhood homes are single-story, neighborhood resident Doug Reynolds said. Durango City Council approved construction last year, citing how responsive the school has been to neighbors' concerns. The new school has been designed in phases in case the millions of dollars required for construction can't be raised for the full build-out. So far, the school has raised about $700,000, and a major fundraiser is planned in the fall, Holman said.
Today and tomorrow, alto cumulus clouds will be passing over, and there are chances for a few hundredths of an inch late tonight through 6 to 7 a.m. tomorrow. Then a little clearing is expected until noon and a resuming of activity till around 6 a.m. Thursday, and several hundredths of an inch of rain are possible during those hours. A high that was loitering around over the California coast will begin to lose strength by tomorrow evening and move east. This will bring a westerly flow over our Four Corners area Thursday and begin drying us out over the day Thursday. By Friday, it will dominate our area, and the last remains of the current trough of moisture will then be gone into the high plains. Nevertheless, there will be enough humidity for a return to the previous pattern of a few mountain showers and thunderstorms in the afternoons and warmer days. For most of our broadcast area, this means dry and warm from Thursday morning onward through next week. The system you see in southern Arizona is capable of causing flash flood conditions in that area through tonight. That almost stationary front from Ozark country in the southern plains and the Gulf states and the Carolinas is weakening and will diminish through the rest of today. But there is tropical moisture pooled over the south and southeast also a surface low near the central Gulf Coast. These will maintain widespread showers and thunderstorms from the lower Mississippi Valley and Gulf Coast up to the mid-Atlantic region. Rainfall will intensify during the afternoon and evening hours, increasing the risk for flash flooding, especially along the central and eastern Gulf Coast. Showers and thunderstorms are also possible in the mid-Atlantic and further north through Wednesday, with an upper-level impulse moving across the Ohio Valley into the northern Appalachians. There are flash flood possibilities in the Ohio Valley and the northern Appalachians. The front moving across the northern plains into the upper Great Lakes will trigger showers and thunderstorms over the northern plains through late tonight and early Wednesday. Montana and the Dakotas have hail and flash flooding conditions possible through the day and into the night. The showers and thunderstorms will expand eastward into the upper Mississippi Valley and upper Great Lakes and northern high plains into Wednesday. Some of the storms may become severe with periods of heavy rainfall. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a slight risk for the northern plains. Parts of the Pacific Northwest will have rain until the onshore flow ends tomorrow morning. High temperatures are forecast for the lower 80s. Lows are estimated for the mid and lower 50s. Clouds and minimal moisture for tonight through 6 a.m. Thursday, with clearing and warming following, is the outlook for the broadcast area. Now back to the news.
According to the Durango Herald, the largest resort operator in North America is buying the continent's biggest ski area, the site of the 2010 Winter Olympics. Vail Resorts Incorporated announced Monday that it was purchasing Whistler Blackcomb Holdings, Inc., the Canadian ski resort company, for $1.06 billion, adding to its aggressive expansion. Located in British Columbia, Whistler Blackcomb is the largest and most visited ski resort in North America. Colorado's Vail is frequently the most visited ski resort in the United States. 2 years ago, Vail Resorts bought Utah's Park City Mountain Resort for $182.5 million and merged it with a neighboring resort. It operates 9 mountain resorts and 2 ski areas in the U.S. and Australia. The new deal is expected to close in the fall. Under the transaction, Vail Resorts would acquire all the stocks of Whistler Blackcomb, whose shareholders would receive $13.30 per share in cash and 0.0975 share of Vail Resorts common stock, for a total value of $27.36 per share. Whistler CEO Dave Brownlee will stay on as Whistler Blackcomb's Chief Operating Officer and will become a member of the senior leadership team of Vail Resorts Mountain Division, the company said. Whistler Blackcomb will honor the resort's existing season passes. Vail Resorts plans to integrate Whistler into its Epic Season Pass for the 2017-2018 winter season. In addition to Vail and Park City, Vail Resorts operates Colorado's Breckenridge, Beaver Creek, and Keystone ski resorts. In California, Vail operates Heavenly, North Star, and Kirkwood ski areas. It also has ski resorts in Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin.
Reported by KDVR in Denver, beginning Wednesday, Colorado residents will be allowed to use rain barrels to collect rainwater. For years, state laws prohibited the collection of rainwater because of decades-old water rights. Basically, under the old law, collecting rain was considered stealing from others downstream, such as farmers who have a claim to the water. But homeowners believe they have a right to divert what moisture falls on their property. Colorado lawmakers came to a compromise to allow homeowners to collect rainwater in limited amounts beginning tomorrow, Wednesday. It is estimated homeowners will get about 1,200 gallons of water per year through rain barrel collection. In the land of the free, however, there are still some rules that must be followed to collect rainwater. Each single-family home can have up to 2 rain barrels. The total volume of the barrels on the property cannot exceed 110 gallons. Rain can only be harvested from the home home's downspout. The downspout must be directed into the rain barrel. Water collected in a rain barrel can only be used on the property where it was harvested, and rainwater is only to be used for outdoor purposes like watering lawns, gardens, and outdoor plants. It can be used to wash cars. However, rainwater cannot be used for drinking, laundry, toilets, or for animals. Tell the birds that, right? Interestingly, according to the great source that is Wikipedia, it says in New Mexico, rainwater catchment is mandatory for new dwellings in Santa Fe, while Texas offers a sales tax exemption on the purchase of rainwater harvesting equipment. Both Texas and Ohio allow the practice even for potable purposes. Oklahoma passed the Water for 2060 Act in 2012 to promote pilot projects for rainwater and gray water use, among other water-saving techniques. So, as the infamous children's song goes, "Oh, little playmate, we can now look down my rain barrel and slide down my cellar door, and Colorado will be jolly friends forevermore."
According to the Durango Herald, the Strater knows how to put on a show. Since 1962, the iconic hotel in downtown Durango has been entertaining people, tourists and locals alike, with its summer performances. This summer, there's a new show at the Henry Strater Theater, the Durango Western Music and Vaudeville Show, which will run every night except Monday through the end of September. And this year's offering, directed by Scott Levi, is different, said Rod Barker, owner of the Strater and producer and co-writer of the show. Getting to do a bunch of fun things on stage every night is Ted Hockenberry, who's playing Durango Dave, the meanest man in Durango, in the production. He also plays banjo and pedal steel guitar in the show. You may recognize Hockenberry from the bands Wild Country and the Jelly Belly Boogie Band. He also works for the Bayfield School District. While he's been playing music since he was young, acting is a new direction for Hockenberry. The cast of 5 also includes Hallie Denman, Johanna Laverty, Ben Reese, and Greg Ryder, who in the show sings is a cowboy poet and MC. Barker said locals will be able to appreciate the family-friendly show as well. He also added that the money made on the shows during the summer helped to allow various local festivals to use the theater space without charge.
Reported in the Durango Herald, for decades, from the 1880s to the 1960s, agriculture was a constant and stabilizing force in La Plata County. While mining in the San Juans came and went, the Silverton train ran infrequently under DNRGW ownership, and Fort Lewis College was at Hesperus with a couple of hundred students. It was ranchers and farmers, Anglo and Ute, who patronized city and county retailers for their needs. Hardware and clothing stores, bars and cafes, livestock auctions, and grain elevators were where the jobs were, and goods and money changed hands. When they were not tending cattle, cutting hay, or irrigating, the ranchers and farmers were building school systems, lobbying for highway money, and helping expand town centers. Fiesta days in midsummer celebrated that rural life with a mix of horse racing, rodeos, a parade with several marching bands, and plenty of eating and drinking. City dwellers were shamed into dressing Western style for a week, and at least one year, businesses paid their employees in silver dollars. Fiesta Days was the single large summer event prior to the county fair. Now, the enthusiasm and support that made that event so successful has been spread among a dozen food and music one-day events and the popular cowboy poetry gathering in the fall. Fiesta Days, through no fault of its organizers, has dwindled in popularity. Given so much that takes place in Durango during the summer and how busy merchants already are with tourists, we do not see anything changing. Fiesta Days will only limp along at best. One idea is to schedule a Fiesta Day, just one day perhaps, at the beginning of the county fair. That would make for a stronger week or almost a week of events, with the two complementing one another. Fiesta Day, with its downtown events that included a strong parade, the fair at the fairgrounds, both with joint marketing and fundraising efforts, would be a great idea. The two events right now are 2 weeks apart. Those who have lived in the county for some time know that the county's rural history, know it and want to retain it, and most new arrivals want to know more about their new home. The ingredients of Fiesta Days imparts a good deal of that. They are not suggesting the two be combined, but that the organizers of each explore the possibilities of creating a 4 or 5 day succession of activities that would allow Fiesta Days to retain its identity, but would produce a more diverse and stronger schedule for participants and attendees at both events. A stronger Fiesta Days, if briefer and less standalone, might have great appeal. What do you think about events for 2017 in Dolores County? Would you enjoy a squash fest in August, a biking ride in September? What about celebrating celebrating our beans in October. Let us know. We'd love to hear what you think.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of August 1st through the 7th. A town resident reported a dog missing. The dog found his way home. A bike was stolen from a juvenile in town. A deputy is investigating. A rock slide on Highway 145 was reported after the rains. A report of a vehicle off the roadway resulted in the arrest of a man on outstanding warrants. That's it for today's Roundup. Stay tuned tomorrow for more updates.
In today's High Country Happenings, Thursday, August 11th, the Four Corners Backcountry Horsemen's monthly meeting is at 7 p.m. at Bayfield Town Hall. Non-members are welcome. Chiropractic farrier Dr. Dennis O'Brien will be giving a presentation. O'Brien will be covering equine chiropractic as well as dental problems and hoof care. For details, visit 4cbch.org or call Kathy Roberts at 970-749-0316. Saturday, August 13th, Southwest Colorado Livestock Association and Southwest Cowbells Barbecue and Dance will be held at the Lewis Areola Community Center. The barbecue starts at 6:30 p.m. The dance with the Vanishing Breed music starts at 8. Tickets are $10 each, children 17 and under free. For details, call 565-1972. Sunday, August 14th, the final round of the Dolores County Junior Rodeo Series will be running at the Dolores County Fairgrounds in Dove Creek. Check-in is at 8:30 a.m. Rodeo begins at 9. For details, visit the Dolores County Junior Rodeo page on Facebook. And a reminder that every Saturday from 5 to 7 p.m. at the VFW in Dove Creek is the Dolores County Farmers Market with produce, cottage goods, and crafts. We'll have more about this new event during the Talk Tuesday interview with Kathleen Keesling directly following the news program today. So stay tuned and call in if you have any questions during the live broadcast. All of the happenings are posted on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the embedded YouTube replays of the live show and the exclusive DCTV 5-day forecast. If you have an event, you can email us at dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station at 677-4119 and we'll be sure to get it on air.
Thanks for tuning in. This program is aired live at noon Monday through Wednesday and rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m. on Channel 32.1 Dolores County, and now Channel 18 in Montezuma County and their cable Channel 5.
Share this with a friend and watch the broadcast replayed on YouTube and now featured on the Facebook page. Please like us there and comment. We'd love to hear your voice.
For Kendra Cook, Jerry Tope, and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Keesling. Stay tuned for Talk Tuesday coming up next, and we'll be back Wednesday with the News at Noon.
Well, welcome to Talk Tuesday. This is the show following the News at Noon, DCTV News at Noon program, and today we have Kathleen Keesling with us here in the center, and Jerry Tope, and I'm Kendra Cook, and we're going to be talking about the Dolores County Farmers Market. So go ahead and let's first tell us what it is and how's it going so far.
Well, the Dolores County Farmers Market is a place for all area crafters, growers, and any type of producers to come together locally and present their goods to each other for sale. The idea that generated behind the Dolores County Farmers Market is the need for fresh produce in an area where we farm. So we thought it was kind of a common sense thing that if we got the farmers together and even the small gardeners together and were able to share their produce and sell it, that would be an excellent benefit for the community. The other thing is it's a good place to market with each other. It's a good place to show each other what we can do craft-wise. So it isn't only for produce. I have a lot of people stating that their gardens aren't ready yet, but this cottage foods are things that we can make bake and dried goods and things like that, so we could sell that as well. So it spurs the economy as well.
Well, and the cottage food, people can go online. I believe the Colorado State has the new regulations for the cottage food industry this year.
Yes.
And that's that you can sell one type of a product up to $10,000?
Up to $10,000. It was formerly $5,000 for one type of product. So say if we had bread, which would be a typical, provided we don't put cheese or any other dangerous or high-risk food on top of the bread, but just a standard grain bread, and we sold that type of bread, we could sell it for up to $10,000 without any special licenses, and you can make that in your own home kitchen, which is a very unique thing. Also, one of the new things is the eggs. The eggs used to not be, or are the eggs. They are not allowed to be on the farmer's market. They are allowed at the farmer's market now. So you could sell them directly from the farmer's market, and again, up to $10,000 per.
And it's my understanding that the eggs, I guess that's probably pretty much that's it. But for the breads, if you had a bread with raisins in it or whatever, that would be a different item, and so that would have its own $10,000 limit cap.
Yes, it would be its own. That's how I understand
That's
it.
how I've been told.
That being said, the caveat is that we make sure that we document our sales, because there is a way of abusing this, and also there should be a way to account that you are following, the guidelines. So it is supposed to be run like any other business, where you keep documentation in the event that you get audited, that you can open your books up and say, hey, yes,
This is what I did.
I'm honoring your law. But yes, there's an opportunity for somebody to do, say, apricot jams and do that up to $10,000, and then possibly do breads up to $10,000, and not have to have a commercial kitchen, which is really where that comes into play as a great benefit.
So we've had a couple now so far this season?
Yes, we've had 2 successful farmers markets. Our first one was rained out, so there would have been 3. What makes it wonderful from the last time we spoke, Kendra, is that we have no charge at all for the vendors, and no confirmation or commitment that they have to continue coming every week. We found that people were hesitant to make that commitment on an unfounded event, but we also, at the same time, like anything in Dolores County, we got together with leaders. The VFW has allowed us their space, and we have been able to open up that area for vendors to just come as they wish. No charge, and they can keep all of the profits that they have. There are some guidelines and some rules of things that we cannot do, and but I'm there, or someone else is there representing the farmers market to make sure that the guidelines are followed.
Great. Jerry, did you have a question for?
With regard to cheese, once upon a time I knew a local resident that made cheeses, and they had the big round things all wax wrapped. I suppose, could you tell me whether the no cheese rule applies to any and every cheese product? Or
Yes, currently the cheese is still one of those restricted products. However, for the purposes of selling the cheese, you can arrive at the farmer's market with your other products or with none, and sell your cheese at the table and have them go to your farm, and basically it's called selling your shares. So you become a share. They purchase shares into your cheese farm, and then you can do that. Now that would go under the CSA regulations, which I'm not as well versed in, but again, at the extension site they're found there.
So don't count anything out until you've talked to her.
That's right. No meats, I could tell you that.
Okay. No meat.
And the FDA is,
Right.
and rightfully so, for the protection of the health of the public, wanting to maintain good health, good sanitary habits for
Correct.
the processing. Restrictive financially for a lot of people, though, unfortunately. So this is a good opportunity. Have there been any other vendors of crafts or anything made, like jewelry or that sort of thing?
Yes, we do have a vendor of gems and jewelry. Heather Saylor has her business out there showing all of her gems and jewelry. We also have other people interested, and we'd like to urge anyone who has their crafts to come out. I think that one of the greatest things about Dolores County is our ability to communicate with each other and come up with ways to do business more creatively in our small space. And I think this is one of those avenues where we may be doing a lot more networking than we expect, which would lead to future sales and becoming a little bit more self-supporting in our community. So yes, we do have that. We do encourage that. We also encourage fundraisers. Student fundraisers are coming up, provided we're not selling hot foods or anything that would be considered restricted. If there's a fundraiser coming up, there's room at the farmer's market for that table. So if we have students that need support getting their cheer gear or their sporting events, or anybody who is needing a fundraiser, like the ladies that have been injured in the elevator accident, or any of those, we'd like to invite them to come along. With those, we do ask that they give us a call ahead of time, just to make sure we don't have conflicting fundraisers. But that is one of the things that we're welcoming.
And you had mentioned before when the nonprofits of any, and the information of trying to match volunteers with jobs
Right.
and that sort of thing. So
Yeah,
that's,
the volunteer match to the nonprofits I still think is a great event or a great opportunity there. However, I'd like to see that launch into something a little bit bigger as far as like what you were saying with a festival. That would be a wonderful thing to add where it's a little bit more in depth. But absolutely, nonprofits that are looking for volunteers, nonprofits that are looking to raise funds, we'd like to invite that. The whole goal of the Dolores County Farmers Market is to become resilient and bring our local community together and see if we can't profit together.
and now we're talking with.
Definitely.
No,
Does that
I'm,
make sense?
I'm just thinking ahead. I have one of these random analytical brains, and I created a scenario in my head. I don't know whether I'm laughing at myself or what somebody else might do, so we'll see when it happens.
Okay.
Who was it? It was a woman that was talking about the yard sales, that they're going to try and maybe gather that together so that instead of having yard sales where you have to go to the different people's garages, maybe we can start that, and that might be an alternative weekend or just an alternative location when people can come out and hit everything up at the same time. Which would
Now
be great.
that resident that I was speaking to actually is on a regular basis doing once per month yard sales over at the Deb's Diner.
Yep.
And so her next one, she told me, was August 20th, where people can bring their used goods, more of a flea event,
Right.
or their new goods. But I think that they would, at this time, complement each other. We can't leave our premises to go over there at this point, just because of the nature of what we're doing. However, I think that we can help boost up that interest, and that maybe our crafters will go over to there, and our food remains on our end, and we can communicate together. And of course, they're invited to come over to us. However, we're not sure how that's all going to shape
Right.
out as it goes. But yes, it's during the farmers market is when I was able to learn that they were doing these monthly, and I didn't even know.
Well, and the 20th is going to be the car show. So that's going to be behind the, what was the Frontier Bar, the old barn, I think they call it now, old barn antiques, big old barn antiques or something like that, next to the bank. And and around the corner to the back over at Carhartt's, they're going to have the swap meet and car show and vendors, food vendors and a music thing. So,
So it's going to be
it'll be a good. I'm hoping for good weather, Jerry. Can you do anything about that?
All right, tell me the date again.
The Saturday the 20th, not this Saturday, but the week after. Too far out for now.
That's a little far out. That's a little far out.
But we hope it's a groovy event. So so that'll be fun for people to be able to cross over between all the different things, and we can get things moving forward that way. So
That'll be interesting too, because I think that might be a place where we will learn to work together on that. That might be something that we can work toward next year to make a, more concerted effort, much like what you were talking about in Durango with their Fiesta days and
right,
fair.
they
Work
can-
together on that.
I hope it moves forward for 2017.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
So that'll be something good. Well, if there's any questions out there, if somebody's watching live at the 12:30 hour and you want to call in, it's the 677-4119 is the number here at the station. But I think you've explained it pretty well. That it's right now it's just open in the beginning, starting to try and generate an awareness by the population, and of course, gardens. I think the squash is available now. I have heard. That there is extra squash, so
Yeah, I've had a few zucchini there
Yeah.
coming in. So the squashes I know are coming in. Well, all of them. I was told the other day that someone was going to have a ton of cucumbers coming in.
Yep.
But again, if you don't have all the produce that you need to fill up an entire table, we can all share tables. To where it doesn't look so.
one product on
Yeah.
one table. Hello, it's DCTV, and you're live on air.
Hello. I was wondering if there were any plans to add a second day, possibly,
Yes.
for the
For the
farmers market.
There was
Sure.
originally supposed to be a plan to have farmers market on Friday and Saturday, which is where I'd like it to be. But because of the fact we couldn't get that commitment by the vendors, we're hoping to just continue with a 1 day per week schedule, and then hopefully have enough to expand it across the 2 days. That was the original intent.
Right. So did you have any other questions, or just about the Friday and Saturday?
That was it for now.
Okay. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Yeah, I think that for a lot of people, there's the early one in Cortez on Saturday morning, and then Mancus is on Thursdays.
Yes.
So there's a variety there, and Cortez has an evening market even
Yes.
one Thursday a month or something like that. So and I'm not sure what Dolores is doing. They used to have one on Wednesday, so it's a great thing to be able to kind of spread it around if you need a fresh.
It would be ideal to have it all throughout the winter even, and bring it inside and make it more of a craft. We have a lot of vendors and crafters that have not reached out to us, have not said, hey, what do you think about my quilt? Or hey, what do you think about my knitting? I knit little blankets for candles. And because I know that these people are out there. And I'd like to really stress that that's a welcome conversation. Because if we don't know what we don't know, we can make an event that surrounds that builds up based on, if people know we're always going to be there on the weekends, Friday and Saturday, then they start getting used to building it into their plans. On the side of the road, the community is pulling, hopefully, people that don't live here off the side of the road and taking their money. I hate to say that, but it helps boost our own personal and business economies. And if they see us on the road, hopefully we'll start getting them used to seeing us there as they're going back and forth from Moab to wherever, because we're, normally people are just flying through Dove Creek and they know exactly where the Superette is and where the Sinclair is, and they know where Adobe Milling is, and they're going to stop at their preset places. But once they get used to stopping at those places, they start remembering the next time. And that's what I'd like to see for the farmers market, whether it's during the summer or in the fall, if we find a location that would be able to be done that way. I know the VFW has inside, but I never discussed that for the winter. But it'd be kind of cool.
This squash festival idea,
I love it.
is this going to be a multi-day event?
Well, the squash festival thing is half-baked idea. I think it's a great idea. I think it would be great for a 3-day event, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with programming. But I'm not 100% sure that was my idea.
I would lobby for a multi-day event and offer up my services forthwith, here and now.
I will take that
to
offer.
be a taste tester of squash dishes prepared and so on, and
that's a
a
great
multi-day
idea.
event would ensure that I'd have the capacity to be there at least one day.
Exactly, and the ability to refresh your palate during that day.
Absolutely.
So that we can have. See, I think that would be an excellent idea. And also, I know that years ago we had a bean festival here where people put in their recipes for beans.
Yeah.
Like you can make cake with beans, and so that'd be nice.
Some of the best cake I've ever eaten had pinto beans in there.
High
It's
fiber,
good.
nothing like getting your health and eating it too.
Has something to do, I'm told, with moisture in the cake too. I don't know how it does it, but it turned out pretty wonderfully every time I've had it.
Yeah, so it'd be nice. I mean, those kind of ideas are welcome, but at this point, to get this off them, I'd hate to try to do a squash festival before our farmers market even gets.
Well, and now the farmers market is. Tell us a little bit about. You have an organization that is not only doing this, but it's covering other things. Is that the food care and share?
Right now, the nonprofit Dove Creek Care and Share Food Pantry, which is not the VFW, but our volunteers are in the VFW. When we do our food distribution, we place Dolores County Farmers Market underneath that as a subsidiary of that nonprofit, and it remains the nonprofit, and its intention is to be that nonprofit. Once it gets a life of its own and starts generating more and more push, it's very likely that that will branch off and be given to a group of people that are motivated to run that, and that it will tear away from the Dove Creek Care and Share Food Pantry, because it does. In my opinion, I believe that the Dove Creek Care and Share Food Pantry mission is unique from a farmers market mission. There's a completely different set of management that would go with that once it gets large and more into festivities and things like that. However, if it turns out that we keep it under us for a while, that's fine too. It's just, it needed to be underneath the nonprofit, so it is right now.
Good. So, and are there any other things that you have in your spare time going on, which is none? Not spare time, I mean.
Well, when you were talking about the volunteer thing, and I think we mentioned it, and that's where that conversation went on, I would like, and this is separate from the food entity, I would like to approach the school as well as the key players in our community about creating a big kind of volunteer fair where we have all of the tables set up with all of the organizations that accept volunteers, whether they're churches, school volunteer organizations, all of our civic things, and maybe new ones from outside of the area that want to bring in themselves in, like maybe the Kiwanis or some of those organizations where we don't really have a real presence, and have the students and residents come in and sign up. And the reason for that is because I believe that in order for us to bring industry in here, volunteer experience is really important on people's resumes, that ability to bond together and to get to know what our skills are. We're, in a community where we are farmers and where farming is becoming less and less profitable, and where a lot of us are driving away to go do work, we have to really build our own industry here, and I don't know that we know what we want at that point based on our skill set. And that might be a little bit cavalier to say, but I think that building our own volunteer sector before the businesses come, and it builds our workforce, it also helps our students go off and get their scholarships and grants and things that are available, and lets them know how to work together. I think that again, God, I ramble, is similar to how we bond together with the Dolores food, with the farmers market, where that communication, that kind of organic conversation that starts between two people that are thrown together for one specific reason, but maybe would have never been put together in the same room again. So I see that in my volunteer group, is that there are a lot of people who don't know some things but are willing to learn, and it's a safe environment to do that, and they start becoming brave and dipping their toe in there, knowing that it's a really rare thing to get fired from a volunteer organization, and what's the risk? I'm not getting paid. So, and business is still occurring. It's just a different type of business. So it'd be nice to see that kind of event, and maybe then that would start becoming a job fair event, which now I'm traipsing into somebody else's territory. That would be in Dan and DC's territory, but on my little world of volunteerism, I see that they're connected. Like maybe they could work together, and that would be the way to kind of tiptoe into that bigger task of getting a proper job fair into here. And strangely, Cortez did their first one this year, or are still doing their first one this year, coming up in the fall. So it's not a unique idea. When I had mentioned it, they were like, we're doing that too. I'm like, okay.
Well, to bring you back just quickly to the schools, we had, I believe there was a farm garden this summer at the school. Is there any word of what produce has grown up from that, or if it is successful or not?
No, and I didn't want to get into that conversation. I'm assuming that they had an outlet, but when we get our feet on the ground and actually show that we would be a place for them, of course they're welcome at any time, but it's possible they already have plans for their produce. I didn't.
Yeah, I haven't found out. I'm a bad investigator.
Yes,
here.
I haven't found out either.
Calls.
I'm a bad farmers market manager.
Because the article earlier today on the news broadcast about the group down in Louis Areola that the kids were going to be doing, I think it was Louis Areola, that they were selling hamburgers with their fresh lettuce and tomatoes on them, and it was so it'll be a fundraiser for and a distribution of some of the produce. Oh, that's
really a good idea.
So that kind of sounded like somebody was headed in the right direction there, I think.
Well, you opened the door with that earlier by saying community organizations and stuff. So anybody in the school interested should feel free to immediately approach.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and
Call.
anyone interested in coming up with ideas, because
The more you talk, the more I think about one thing only, and that's how can I get to where I can eat some
Eat
of this
squash.
stuff.
Yeah. Well, you can give out samples at a farmer's market. So I'd just like to urge people to bring their plastic cups. Share.
We were given our first squash yesterday or the day before. I can't remember which. But
Great.
we ate our first squash yesterday, and my wife made a large skillet full of stuff, and she told me just a little while ago that there's more of that waiting for me for lunch. So this is a painful
yum.
conversation in a way.
Yeah, because I'm just sitting there and your stomach's. Well, I never had this the spaghetti made out of the squash.
That is very good.
I need to get that little fitting on because that looks like it's so right up my alley.
Well, and simply you can use a peeler as well.
Oh, yeah?
And it makes it like little thin ribbons, and then you cook it just in a real quick and put a sauce on it and make so it's like a spaghetti. That's what we're talking about, is that using the squash, not a spaghetti squash, but a zucchini squash,
yes,
cut in ribbons, or using a
Yeah.
So
I just keep having this vision, every time I see a Pinterest thing where, I want to do it, and then it looks like I did it with like paste and.
And Pinterest, for those who don't know, that's a picture, what do you call it? Would it be an app or a social media?
Yeah.
If your mouth,
For
if
putting
you're out
pictures
there
on
and
it.
you're watching this and your mouth is watering, you owe it yourself in the Dove Creek that let this idea come to fruit and production.
He said fruit.
Here in Dove Creek. Fruition.
Okay.
Here in Dove Creek, so that the Squash Festival does not go somewhere else, but stays
That
here.
would be great.
Well, and I'm pretty sure after this last week of all the hearings, or not hearings, but informational investigative meetings that the commissioners have had as far as special use permits. Right now, there isn't a special use permit for doing an event, but there are land use codes, and that's what this one music festival ran into problems not going through the land use code issues. But so in town, it's your understanding that if you have an agreement from a business that has a parking lot, that there's nothing else needed other than your own.
As much, and I investigated a lot on this, wondering if we were going to get in trouble. And it is all based on our local and county government. Now, as a farmer's market on private property, I think we're okay. I did ask the town some months ago, and they said there was nothing I needed to do.
Right.
For for things on the VFW property, but that may change. It may be, something that we learn, and I'm more than willing to have that my eyes open for that, because I think that is what one of those barriers that people don't want to talk about because they're afraid to mention that they're actually afraid of the regulation. Like, I'm
Right.
afraid to do this because that might be I have to pay taxes on. And of course, that's all very scary when you're used to having a job and paying your taxes and being done at the end of the year. This whole world of making my own money is really scary. And I think that land use and festival codes or regulations, that's something that I think we all need to get involved with our local and town government, and make sure that we get our voice out, what bothers us, what scares us, what we want, and then as whatever comes of it, of course the farmers market will abide, because we that's one of the protections we have, and we have such a wonderful county and town.
Right, and I think
makes sense.
I think the commitment for the commissioners right now seemed that they did want people to prosper here and to just maintain the health and sanitation issues, basically,
Right.
and safety issues.
Right.
But other than that, please, entrepreneurs, get up and make some money and
Yep.
put Dolores back on the map.
Yep, and our state does if you
Dove
ever go
Creek
on the
Dolores.
Colorado State website, you'll see that the state itself, our Secretary of State, has worked very hard to make Colorado a easy place to start a business and to run a business. So I think there should be no fear, and we should talk to each other. So coming to the farmers market's a safe place. We know the rules, unless things change.
Right.
But we know the rules. We could talk about them together, and at that point we have DCDC, of course, standing by. I know that they're there to help, and I would suggest anyone, if they've not heard of DCDC, to reach out and get in contact with that organization.
And they have a monthly meeting, and tomorrow, actually, at 11 is the next meeting. It's the second second Wednesday of every month, a very special Wednesday apparently in Dove Creek, because it's also the day that your Karen Chair does the.
Yep. It's the ambulance board meeting.
Yes, it's a lot on the second Wednesday of the month.
This week is a.
But yeah, and it's open to the public. So if you wanted to come and just listen, it's in the basement of the courthouse, right across from the TV studio, and it's once a month meeting there. And they do have even microloans, which are the $500 to $5,000 loans. And now there's they're working with the SBDC with small business development to help provide, if you're trying to organize, how to start your business plan and how to do that. So there's a lot of coordination that people probably don't know a lot about, but that's available there too. So
yeah, and bringing down that barrier and having those assets here. I don't know that many people or that everyone knows about it. Maybe they don't know to ask, but we're ready to start bringing some businesses here built by the people who are here.
Right.
If we don't build our own businesses, they will come, is my opinion, and we won't have a say. So I'd rather have it that we dig our heels in and create the Dove Creek business that we would like, and that way it'll keep the ones that we don't want here, the big box possibly, or maybe we do want big box, but at least we'll know what we want.
Well,
does that?
That is a great
makes
note.
a point for me. I'm happy to hear it. I think it's an opportunity to do something. I don't know what the proper term is. You were trying to use it a minute ago about local marketing and sustainable agriculture, sustaining local businesses.
You said it better.
Accidental. And I recall a conversation I had yesterday with an individual. I'm not going to campaign for anybody, but it happened to be one who was campaigning. And he mentioned that in the past that Kokopelli water production company had made an effort to establish a business and started here, but ended up across the border into Utah because things couldn't work out here. But he mentioned that people in this community grow all manner of vegetables in their gardens, which we've been talking nicely about today.
Yes.
And the possibility of canneries and things like that. But we have mega businesses in that, yes, but there are mega liabilities with those businesses too. And if they have a little hiccup in things, it seems like half the country can starve for this or that canned item or carrots or potatoes or whatever it is. And with global marketing, which you have access to if you operate on the internet and run a website, communities can do that. Who says we have to be big?
We don't.
You know, we don't have to be. There is a lot of, there are a lot of people in the world who look for products unique to a given geographic area. Why can't we do something in Dove Creek?
Absolutely. Even bigger towns. I mean, you have these larger communities trying to go more on the micro business because of just that. You don't want to be, every town you go to has the same Walmart, the same strip mall. If you are a person who is genuine and unique, which I'd like to say is everyone, that we'd like to see the flavor of what we have to offer. I think we've become just a little bit too generic, beige. And I think that Dove Creek is unique because we are already small. So we have one step up or one leg up from a larger place looking to go small because we are small. We just need to really honor the craftsmen that we have here. I think that little Kyle Carhart is an excellent example of how someone who is basically a hidden gem in this community has come out and made himself a successful business with his connections. And I think that type of business would be, I mean, that's a gem everywhere. And come Christmas time and you're looking for something unique to send, are we really all going to Kmart, Walmart, and Amazon and exchanging the same stuff? And when we are when we look back on our family, are we looking to the fact that we just got something that was made in some other country, or do we really hang on to the things that are made by people we know? And I know from my household, there are certain things that I have that I hold dear because they are unique to my family. And I don't think that no matter how large of a town you come from, that you lose that. Even New York City grabs onto its small little boroughs of unique, this is our culture. Something that we don't talk about, we say that we don't have culture. In America or in Dove Creek, we don't have a specific culture unless it's farming. That's not true. We have a lot of separate little cultures that we just don't, we don't all see when people just first move in here. They don't see our culture of dryland bean farming. I saw this one article I reposted on Facebook. I think my 2-3 friends saw it. But no, it did. It got shared a lot. It was an expose or a feature article on all of the dryland bean farming and all of the unique history involved in that. And there's unique history involved in this area, going back that we've forgotten about. And these people just quietly say, well, we're not big city. I'm like, so what? We are Dove Creek. I don't know, is that kind of circular? I kind of went off a little.
I'm happy with that.
Okay.
Yeah, so and this is one great first step to get the market going so we can get people together on a weekly basis.
I hope so.
Hopefully we'll have some good weather again for this weekend and the next weekend.
Yep.
And again, it's at the VFW right off Highway 491. It's kind of hidden behind the wall there.
We're trying to work on that.
But for now, I guess that's probably a good spot just to be protected there, and maybe a flag or a banner at some point might be.
I do have a banner, but I'd like to have one of those, what are they called? The ones where you see both. I saw on Pinterest, if I get an old crib and take both sides
dual
and put them
facing
together. Yeah.
triangle,
Yeah, so if anyone has an old crib, call me, because I'm gonna do Pinterest fail. But those sorry, I'm gonna do it though. It's gonna happen.
and it starts. If you want to be a vendor, you come at 4. I believe it says on the post. There's some posters up around town too, which is good. And then it starts open for sale at 5 to 7.
Open for sale from 5 to 7. 4 o'clock. Come as a vendor. If you don't have a table and you don't have a tent. The big, large tent in the front has 2 tables in it that are not used by anybody, that are just there for vendors who need to share a table. Somebody asked, what's a share table? I'm like, share a table, and set it up however you wish. And if it rains, we're still going to hold it. We'll just bring it, right to the outer part of the
building
garage. Yeah, so we'll bring it there if we have to. But we have tents, so I don't. Apart from lightning, I don't see
rain
any
or
reason
shine,
why
it's
we
going to
should
happen.
It's going to happen, even if it just means we stand there playing horseshoes.
Okay.
We're going
that would be a draw too.
Actually, I thought about that. About the last time I was like, we should play horseshoes.
And washers.
And musicians, by the way, I wanted to mention. We should, anyone who wants to do music or sing or just play a guitar.
Yes.
Please come. I didn't realize was one of the things that makes a farmer's market unique to the community.
Sure.
And we do have one heck of a load of musicians here. So nobody's going to pay, which is terrible. But if you have CDs for sale or you want to just get your name out there for live events, feel free. Or if you just want to enjoy a jam on a Saturday, we'd love to have you.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in, and
You're welcome. My rambling self.
we will follow up and find out how this is going as the fall progresses, and we really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you,
and
Kendra.
starting this.
Thank you very much, Jerry.
Thank you.
All right. And that's it for Talk Tuesday, squash event next August. All right. We'll see
Taste
you.
anybody's squash. Just give me the opportunity and I'll prove it.
We'll see you tomorrow for News at Noon at 12. Thank you.
Bye.